Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is the story of how my life went from feeling abandoned to priceless by coming to know Jesus. So, I grew up in a Christian home for the first 11 years of my life. My family went to church together, my sister and I went to Sunday school, my dad was a deacon in the church. From the outside, life looked perfect. But when I was 10, things started to change. I had a teacher pass away. A year later, my dad passed away of cancer, and I didn't really understand at that point completely, but I did know I wouldn't be seeing them again. And in the midst of these deaths, I had a few friends stop hanging around me, whether that was for personal reasons or because they couldn't handle me on an emotional level, I may never know. But I do know that in that small time frame, my world had been completely upended, and I felt like people just kept abandoning me in my distress, and I feared that my mom would end up leaving me too. So I just followed her around everywhere until one day she snapped at me, and so I would just sit in my room and worry instead of following her around in hopes that she wouldn't leave. But eventually I outgrew that fear, and high school came around, and with it, a roller coaster of emotions. Sophomore year, I hung around with this girl who declared herself an atheist, and we just talked about philosophy all the time, and it started to make sense to me. I thought, with everything that's happened to me, how could there be a God? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so I declared myself an atheist. And then junior year, after I endured that mindset for a year, I met another girl who was a strong Christian, and she centered her life around Jesus. You could completely tell in her daily life. So I started to question what she believed, and I thought, with people like this, could there be a God? I constantly thought about this possibility. But then senior year came around, that girl graduated, and I was left by myself in high school again, and I began overthinking and began to feel depressed, and I couldn't shake this feeling, and it absolutely terrified me. I was so scared that I would hurt myself and consequently someone around me, and I just started to have thoughts of ending my life. Being scared of yourself is really confusing and disorienting because you can't run from yourself, and you're just stuck in this rut. And so, at rock bottom, I just started to pray because I felt like there was nothing else I could do. And after many nights crying in prayer, trying to figure a way out of this whole thing has changed. The girl I had met a year before invited me to church, and jokingly, but I went anyways because I didn't know what else to do. And there I saw more people like her who loved Jesus and just had so much joy and happiness in life. And I wanted some of that little slice of heaven, and I just knew I needed some of that. So I kept getting more involved with church and investing lots of my time into it. That fall, I went to college. I met two neighbors in the dorms who lived really God-centered lives, and they kind of showed me how to live like that. And I also got plugged into a campus ministry right away. I was just sitting at the weekly meeting early in September, my freshman year. I looked up at this cross on the wall, and I remember just feeling like this overwhelming feeling of relief and peace. I just felt like there's nothing in the world I could ever be afraid of, and that is a beautiful feeling, to feel like absolutely nothing can harm you. I've come to realize through this that I'm priceless in God's eyes, and nothing I do can make him love me any more or any less than he already does, and he will never abandon me. Granted, I still do have bad days once in a while, but knowing the creator of the universe loves me and will never leave me can really put a different spin on a terrible day. So thanks for taking the time to listen to my story, and I'm interested in knowing yours. Use this link at the bottom of the video to connect with me.